Oh, look at him sleeping. He's like a little angel. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Hi. It's me. It's me, Sal. How's it going? So, I'm not going to be able to do like a late night stream, and I overslept yesterday during my nap, which was quite a lovely nap. Um, but yeah, so I'm back on to read the rest of Anarchism or Socialism. Yes. Back on. I really love this book. Although I don't remember where was that. Where was I at? I don't know if anybody will even know that I'm streaming at this time. Such an odd stream time for the Red Army. So weird. I'm gonna have to go back to the other VOD to see what I did. Okay. Okay, I was right here. No, can't be there. Where the hell was that? Okay. Okay, we're at proletarian socialism. Oh, you know what? Oh God, why did that happen? Hi, Merle. Okay. Shut up, Graham. Oh, nice, Merle. Okay. So chill, you know? Wow. Is it too loud though? For real. What a name. What a name to have on twitch.com. Forgive me if I don't say your name. Or maybe you won't. Who knows? I mean, if Twitch is exclusively a bathroom activity. It's a communist caca. Thanks. That's really sweet. Thanks. Thanks a lot. You already banned in one? Who are you banned in? Who's that person? I don't know that person. Kaka means cookie? Perfect. We'll just pretend that you're taking a huge cookie. Who's Mark Monkey? I don't know who that is. Oh, they banned the name. Well, the name is a name. Okay. We are now familiar with Marx's theoretical doctrine. We are familiar with his method and also with his theory. What practical conclusions was me? Oh my god. Is this how it's gonna be today for me reading? That's not good. That's not good at all. What practical conclusions must we draw from this doctrine? Dr. Seuss book. This is called Anarchism or Socialism by Joseph Stalin. And we read the first half on Friday night, and we're going to read the rest of it hopefully today. What connection is there between dialectical materialism and proletarian socialism? Ooh, we're about to find out. The dialectical method affirms that only that class which is growing day by day, which always marches forward and fights unnecessarily, unceasingly for a better future, can be progressive to the end. Only that class can smash the yoke of slavery. We see that the only class which is steadily growing and which always marches forward and is fighting for the future is the urban and rural proletariat. Therefore, we must serve the proletariat and place our hopes on it. It's when you find out Stalin was an anarchist. Not great. An anarcho-statist. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Okay. That's gonna be fun. Such is the first practical conclusion to be drawn from Marx's theoretical doctrine. But there is service and service. Bernstein also serves the proletariat when he urges it to forget about socialism. Kropotkin also serves the proletariat when he offers it community socialism, which is scattered and has no broad industrial base. And Karl Marx serves the proletariat when he calls it proletarian socialism, or when he calls it to proletarian socialism, which will rest on the broad basis of modern large-scale industry. What must we do in order that our activities may benefit the proletariat? How should we serve the proletariat? The materialist theory affirms that a given ideal may be of direct service to the proletariat only if it does not run counter to the economic development of the country. If it fully answers to the requirements of that development, the economic development of the capitalist system shows that present-day production is assuming a social character, and that social character of production is a fundamental negation of existing capitalist property. Consequently, our main task is to help to abolish capitalist property and to establish socialist property. And that means that the doctrine of Bernstein, who urges that socialism should be forgotten, fundamentally contradicts the requirements of the economic development, and it is harmful to the proletariat. Further, the economic development of the capitalist system shows that the present-day production is expanding day by day. It is not confined within the limits of individual towns and provinces, but constantly overflows these limits and embraces the territory of the whole state. Consequently, we must welcome the expansion of production and regard as the basis of future socialism, not separate towns and communities, but the entire and indivisible territory of the whole state, which in future will, of course, expand more and more. And this means that the doctrine advocated by Kropotkin, which confines future socialism within the limits of separate towns and communities, is contrary to the interests of the powerful expansion of production. It is harmful to the proletariat. Right? Communes, that commune shit ain't it. Fight for a broad socialist life as the principal goal. That is how we serve the proletariat. Edward Bernstein Bears. Why not neither? Why not fuck you? Why the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of here. Who the fuck are you? Why not fuck off? You know? Have you tried? Fight for a broad socialist life as the principal goal. Oh, fucker. See? Son of a bitch. Clearly, proletarian socialism is the logical deduction from dialectical materialism. What is proletarian socialism? The present system is a capitalist system, and that means the world is divided up into two opposing camps. The camp of a small handful of capitalists and the camp of the majority, the proletariats. The proletariats work day and night, nevertheless they remain poor. The capitalists do not work, and nevertheless they are rich. This takes place not only because the proletariats are this takes place not because the proletariats are unintelligent and the capitalists are geniuses, but because the capitalists appropriate the fruits of the labor of the proletariat, because the capitalists exploit the proletarians. Why are the fruits of the labor of the proletarians appropriated by the capitalists and not by the proletarians? Why do the capitalists exploit the proletarians and not vice versa? Because the capitalist system is based on commodity production. Here, everything assumes a form of commodity. Everywhere, the principle of buying and selling prevails. Here, you can buy not only articles of consumption, not only food products, but also the labor power of men, their blood, and their consciences. Conscience? Yeah. The capitalists know all this and purchase the labor power of the proletarians. They hire them. This means that the capitalists become the owners of the labor power they buy. The proletarians, however, lose their right to the labor power which they have sold. That is to say, what is produced by the labor power no longer belongs to the proletariats. It belongs only to the capitalists and goes into their pockets. The labor power which you have sold may produce in the course of a day goods to the value of 100 rubles, but this is not your business. Those goods do not belong to you. It is the business only of the capitalists, and the goods belong to them. All that you are due to receive is your daily wage, which perhaps may be sufficient to satisfy your essential needs, of course. You live frugally. Briefly, the capitalists buy the labor power of the proletariats. They hire the proletariats, and this is precisely why the capitalists appropriate the fruits of the labor of the proletarian. This is precisely why the capitalists exploit the proletarians and not vice versa. But why is it precisely the capitalists who buy the labor of the proletarians? Why do the capitalists hire the proletarians and not vice versa? Because the principal basis of the capitalist system is the private ownership of the instruments and means of production. Because the factories, mills, and land and minerals and forests and railways and machines and other means of production have become private property of a small handful of capitalists. Because the proletarians lack all this. That is why the capitalists hire the proletarians to keep the factories and mills going. If they did not do that, then their instruments and means of production would not yield a profit, and that is why the proletarians sell their labor power to the capitalists. If they did not, they would die of starvation. Max Stirner is ridiculous. You're already banned in Grumsterino. Excuse me, 2 classes. What about the middle class? Grum, shut up. Am I the only... It's only me in here. Alright, well... I wonder if this works. Okay. A true gamer. I made you a mod, Grum, so if you want to, like, kick people out, that's fine. Okay, where am I at? If somebody's banned in your channel, then I... Bye, Mero. Wait, how come I don't see my BTTV in the OBS? Hmm? For real, subs really helped me out earlier. Okay. Where am I at? Oh yes, I was dying of starvation. All this throws light on the general character of capitalist production. Firstly, it is self-evident that capitalist production cannot be united and organized. It is all split up among private enterprises and individual capitalists. Secondly, it is also clear that the immediate purpose of the scattered production is not to satisfy the needs of the people, but to produce goods for sale in order to increase profit of the capitalists. But as every capitalist strives to increase his profit, each one tries to produce the largest possible quantity of goods, and as a result, the market is soon glutted, prices fall, and a general crisis sets in. Thus, crises, unemployment, suspension of production, anarchy of production, and the like are the direct result of present-day unorganized capitalist production. Having a non-planned economy. People are like, planned economy? That's scary. But actually, it's really not scary. It's smart. And the way we're doing it right now is killing the planet. So we shouldn't fucking do that. If this unorganized system still remains standing, if it still firmly withstands the attack of the proletariat, it is primarily because it is protected by the capitalist state and by the capitalist government. Such is the basis of present-day capitalist society. There can be no doubt that future society will be built on an entirely different basis. Future society will be a socialist society. This means primarily that there will be no classes in that society. Why are you saying, oh no? Hello, Wolf. Why are you saying, oh no? Oh. Yes, we're reading Stalin. As we are wont to do on this channel. What do you think of Max Stirner? I think he's dumb. I'm literally a Marxist-Leninist. Okay, good. Yes, his birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, King! Cool. Oh, they did? Okay. Yeah, then kick them out. That's not cool. There can be no doubt that future society will be built... Oh, fuck, did I read this already? Yeah, I already read this. There will be neither capitalists nor proletarians, and consequently, there will be no exploitation. In that society, there will be only workers engaged in collective labor. Future society will be a socialist society. This means that also with the abolition of exploitation, commodity production and buying and selling will also be abolished, and therefore there will be no room for buyers and sellers of labor power. For employers and employed, there will be only free workers. Future society will be a socialist society, and this means, lastly, that in that society, the abolition of wage labor will be accompanied by the complete abolition of the private ownership of the instruments and means of production. There will be neither poor proletarians nor rich capitalists. There will only be workers who collectively own the land and minerals and all the forests and all the factories and mills and all the railways. Hi, Sipa. I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Wow. Beautiful emotes. You guys better not be playing fucking Red Dead without me. I'll be pissed. Yeah, anarcho-egoism is goofy shit. Max Stirner, get the fuck out of here. This, my perspective, is individual anarchism is direct descendant of Enlightenment liberalism. Well, I think you might be onto something. I can't believe you guys are fucking playing without me. You suck. Where am I at? It is also clear that future production will be socialistically organized, highly developed production, which will take into account the needs of society and will produce as much as society needs. Here, there will be no room whether for scattered production, competition, crises, or unemployment. Yeah, we are doing away with that shit because that is just like stupid. Like, why would we do that? Oh my god, shut up. You guys are so terrible. I'm personally a libertarian socialist, but my positions are more anti-cap. Good, you better not be playing. I'm eating. Okay. Libertarian socialist. What does that mean to you when you say that? Where there are no classes, where there are neither rich nor poor, there is no need for a state. There is no need for either the political power, which oppresses the poor and protects the rich. Consequently, in socialist society, there will be no need for the existence of political power. This is why Karl Marx said as far back as 1846, the working class, in the course of its development, will substitute for the old bourgeois society an association which will exclude classes and their antagonisms, and there will be no more political power properly so called. That is why Engels said in 1884, the state then has not existed from all eternity. There have been societies that did it without it, that had no conception of the state or state power. At a certain stage of economic development, which was necessarily bound up with the cleavage of society into classes, The state became a necessity. We are now rapidly approaching a stage in the development of production at which the existence of these classes will not only have ceased but to be a necessity, but will become a positive hindrance to production. They will fall as inevitably as they arose at the earlier stages. Along with them, the state will inevitably fall. The society that will organize production on the basis of free and equal association of the producers will put the whole machinery of the state where it then belongs, into the museum of antiquities, by the side of the spinning wheel and the bronze axe. So poetic Engels is sometimes. At the same time, it is self-evident that for the purpose of administering public affairs, there will have to be, in a socialist society, in addition to local offices which will collect all sorts of information, a central statistical bureau which will collect information about the needs of the whole society and then distribute the various kinds of work among the people accordingly. It will also be necessary to hold conferences, and particularly congresses, the decision of which will certainly be binding upon the comrades of the minority until the next Congress is held. Right? That sounds way fucking better than that shit. Yes, but why are you saying that doesn't make oh. Wait. I'm confused. It means I advocate against capitalist policies, including the long term. Yes, but how are you a libertarian? Like, would you just call yourself a socialist then? Like, what makes you libertarian? That's true, Gramstorino. Yes, Rahaba is a gas station. I know, but it just seems weird. Like, to just call yourself a libertarian social. I don't know. It reminds me of, I don't know, like ANCOM type of stuff, which I'm not really too into, because I do not believe that anarchism and socialism, like, are really the, like, I don't believe they have the same end goal. I know people say they do, but I don't think they do. Yeah, Bakunin and Kropotkin. Bakunin? Oh, I would not tell people I read Bakunin. Embarrassing. Yeah, well, don't you think that's not great to have no end goal? Yeah, I don't know why you would call yourself a libertarian. I feel like libertarian socialist means like ANCOM to you, and I don't know. I'm not into it. Yeah, it really does, because you said Kropotkin and Bakunin. Bakunin is a fucking anti-Semite, like like, it's not great. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to reading. I don't know. It just depends on what you mean by libertarian. That's what I keep asking you. What do you mean when you say libertarian? But I do not read a lot of Bakunin or Kropotkin. I mean, I have read a bit to know that I don't like it. Yes, I've heard of Emma Goldman, but I have not read any of her work. So then it just seems like a needless thing to say, because everyone is against state violence, right? Like a redundant thing. I'm reading Anarchism or Socialism. You're right, Sipa. That's right. You did hear it here first. That's bad, folks. Okay, I'm going to continue. At the same time, it is self-evident that for the purpose of administering public affairs, there will have to be in all, did I say that? All social societies, in addition to local offices, will collect, we're going to collect information. Obviously, that would make sense. Like, if you're planning your economy, you're going to have to get, like, a fuckload of information, what everybody needs and shit. Lastly, it is obvious, so that, like, would mean that central planning is, like, the most efficient way to make sure that, like, everybody has what they need. Lastly, it is obvious that free and comradely labor should result in an equally comradely and complete satisfaction of all needs in the future socialist society. This means that if future society demands from each of its members, as much labor as he can perform, it in its turn must provide each member with all the products that he needs, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Such is the basis upon which the future collectivist society or system must be created. It goes without saying that in the first stage of socialism, when elements who have not yet grown accustomed to work are being drawn into the new way of life, when the productive forces also will have not been sufficiently developed and there will be still dirty and clean work to do, the application of the principle to each according to his needs will undoubtedly be greatly hindered, and as a consequence, society will be obliged temporarily to take some other path, a middle path. But it is also clear that when future society runs into its groove, when the survival of capitalists will have been eradicated, based, the only principle that will conform to socialist society will be the one pointed out above. That is why Marx said in 1875, in a higher phase of communism or communist society, after the enslaving subordination of the individual and the division of labor, and therewith all the antithesis between the mental and physical labor have vanished, after labor has become not only a means of livelihood, but life's prime want. After labor has become not only a means of livelihood, but life's prime want, after the productive forces have also increased with the all-round development of the individual, only then can narrow horizon of bourgeois law be crossed in its entirety, and society inscribe on its banners, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Such in general is the picture of future socialist society according to the theory of Marx. Thanks for following, Magnus. Oh, whoops. You know what, I can put his name in the title. Okay. Thank you, Amaro, for linking that. I advocate for mutual aid, mass refusal to participate in wage slavery, so striking, direct action against capitalist institutions, and complete refusal to do top-down methods of reaching socialism, whether that be reformism. Whoa. I don't really. Oh, so you're saying you're against fuck, Blankism? Yeah, Blankism has been debunked. Blankism, or whether that be reform. Or you don't believe that people can get into office and implement socialism. Is that what you're saying? You don't believe in democratic socialism? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I understand you. Yeah, okay. Striking, yeah. Yeah, I got that. Leninism is when Trotsky, the king of the USSR, the letter says, okay. Mm. I want my socialism undemocratic. That's just called Grommunism, okay? That's just Grommunism at that point. Such, in general, is the picture of future socialist society according to the theory of Marx. This is all very well, but is the achievement of socialism conceivable? Can we assume that man will rid himself of his savage habits? Or again, if everybody receives according to his needs, can we assume that the level of productive forces of socialist society will be adequate for this? Socialist society presupposes an adequate development of productive forces and socialist consciousness among men. Their socialist enlightenment. See, that's why I really liked what they were doing in the Cultural Revolution, because everyone was talking, like literally everyone. Children, old people, intellectuals, fisher people, because there was men and women, which was a new thing that they were implemented in the Cultural Revolution. There was artists, there was acrobats, and they were all talking about like the dialectical method, you know, they were implementing it in their daily lives. If you have not seen How Yukong Moved Mountains, I highly recommend that series. It's like 17 hour-long things of different aspects of the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and it is magnificent. Like, it is so beautiful to look at too. Like, just like society was changing altogether. I generally have 3 basic standards for what I consider to be a leftist. Yeah, it's like 17 hours. Don't watch it. I mean, you can watch it all at once, but you can also take your time with it. It's pretty cool, though. We watched it all on stream here. At the present time, the development of productive forces is hindered by the existence of capitalist property. But if we bear in mind that this capitalist property will not exist in the future, it is self-evident that the productive forces will increase tenfold. Nor must it be forgotten that in future society, the hundreds of thousands of present-day parasites will also the unemployed, will set to work and augment the ranks of the working people. And this will greatly stimulate the development of the productive forces. And as regards to men's savage sentiments and opinions, these are not as eternal as some people imagine. There was a time under primitive communism, not primitive, it's early, so I'm going to say early instead of primitive, under early communism, when man did not recognize private property. There came a time the time of the individualistic production, when private property dominated the hearts and minds of men. A new time is coming, the time of socialist production. Will be surprising if the hearts and minds of men become imbued with socialist strivings. Does not being determine the sentiments of the opinion of men? So he's saying, like, you know, like that human nature, like, oh, men are just evil, they're just greedy, human nature. Well, he's like, no, human nature is not a thing. Like, that's not a thing. But what proof is there that the establishment of the socialist system is inevitable? Must the development of modern capitalism inevitably be followed by socialism? In other words, how do we know that Marxist proletarian socialism is not merely a sentimental dream, a fantasy? Where is the scientific proof that it is not? History shows us that the form of property is directly determined by the form of production, and as a consequence, a change in the form of production is sooner or later inevitable, followed by a change in the form of property. There was a time when property bore a communistic character, when the forests and the fields in which early men roamed belonged all to the individual. Belonged to all and not to the individual. Why did communist property exist at that time? Because production was communistic, labor was performed in common, collectively. All worked together and could not dispense with each other. A different period set in, a period of petty bourgeois production, when property assumed an individualistic private character, when everything that man needed, with the exception, of course, of air, sunlight, was regarded as private property. Why and when did this change take place? Why? Because production became individualistic. Each one began to work for himself, stuck in his own little corner. Finally, there came a time, the time of large-scale capitalist production, where hundreds and thousands of workers gathered under one roof in one factory and engaged in collective labor. Here you do not see the old method of working individually, each pulling his own way. Here every worker is closely associated to his work with his comrades in his own shop, and all of them are associated with the other shops. It is sufficient for one shop to stop work for the workers in the entire place to become idle. As you see, the process of production labor has already assumed a social character, has acquired a socialist hue. As this takes place not only in individual factories, but in entire branches of industry, and between branches of industry, it is sufficient for the railwaymen to go on strike for production to be put in difficulties. It is sufficient for the production of oil and coal to come to a standstill, for whole factories and mills to close down at a time. Clearly here, the process of production has assumed a social collective character. As, however, the private character of appropriation does not correspond to the social character of production, as present-day collective labor must inevitably lead to collective property. It is self-evident that the socialist system will follow capitalism as inevitably as day follows night. That is how history proves the inevitability of Marxist proletarian socialism. History teaches us that the class or social group which plays the principal role in socialist production, performs the main function in production, must, in the course of time, inevitably take control of the production. There was a time under the matriarch when women were regarded as the masters of production. Why was this? Because under the kind of production then prevailing, early agriculture, women played the principal role in production. They performed the main functions, while the men roamed in the forest in quest of game. Then came the time under the patriarchate, when the predominant position in production passed to the man, Why did this change take place? Because under the kind of production prevailing at that time, stock raising, in which the principal instrument of production were the spear, the lasso, and the bow and arrow, the principal role was played by men. There came a time of large-scale capital production in which the proletarians begin to play the principal role of production, when all the principal functions in production pass to them, when without them, production cannot go on for a single day. Let us recall general strikes. When the capitalists, far from being needed for production, are even a hindrance to it. For real, right? Capitalists, get the fuck out of here. What does this signify? It signifies either that all social life must collapse entirely, or the proletariat, sooner or later, but inevitably, must take control of modern production, must become the sole owner, its socialistic owner. Modern industrial crises, which sound the death knell of capitalist property and bluntly put the question, capitalism or socialism, make this conclusion absolutely obvious. They vividly reveal the parasitism of that's what it is, of the capitalist, and inevitably the victory of socialism. 17-hour subathon. Yes, let's go. Anti-capitalist, non-reactionary. Oh. Primitive communism. Paleo communism. Ugh, yeah. Okay, Sipa. Oh, fuck. You're giving me Midwestern marks. You're killing me. I hate pad socks. Listen, I do not like patriotic socialists. I do not like it. I think it's extremely reactionary. But I might watch it. He's reacting to Tucker Carlson. Oh my god, it's so much. I might do it just for you, but it might kill me also, so. Hey, JV. Welcome in. Oh, shit. The father of the right-wing guy was a Nazi soldier. Jesus. Chile is choosing between democratic socialism and fascism right now. Fascism and diet fascism. That's what we do here. Yes, I'm doing a midday stream. Hi, Von Wall. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I've been getting so tired in like the time. I took a nap yesterday. I was supposed to stream, and I just did not wake up. So, yeah. I'm trying to do it now. I know, the sunlight. Ah, gross, right? Sunlight is gross. Okay. Well, Bork wins, but the right government is already sabotaging the transport public of Santiago, where he left his majority. Where the left has a majority. Oh, that's not great. Naps are more important than Stalin. I know. I can't believe I missed my boy's birthday. I'm so sorry, Stalin. Please forgive me. The dark is my friend. Yes, I like nighttime only. Okay. That is how the history... Oh, fuck. Do you like me just reading stuff over? Proletarian socialism is not based on sentiment, not on abstract justice, not on love for the proletariat, but on scientific grounds referred to above. Yeah, that wasn't great that he did that. Not everyone is perfect, you know? Sometimes we fuck shit up, we get shit wrong. Sometimes big time wrong, you know? So this is why proletarian socialism is called scientific socialism. Engels said as far back as 1877, if for the imminent overthrow of the present mode of distribution, the products of labor, we have no better guarantee than the consciousness of that this mode of distribution is unjust, and that justice must eventually triumph. We should be in a pretty bad way, and we might have a long time to wait. The most important thing in this is that the productive forces created by modern capitalist mode of production and system of distribution of goods established by it have come into crying contradiction with that mode of production itself, and in fact to such a degree that if the whole modern society is not to perish, a revolution of the mode of production in distribution must take place, a revolution which will put an end to all class divisions on this tangible material fact, and not on the conceptions of justice and injustice held by an armchair philosopher, its modern socialism's confidence of victory founded. This does not mean, of course, that since capitalism is decaying, the socialist system can be established anytime we like. Only anarchists and other petty bourgeois ideologists think that. The socialist ideal is not the ideal of all classes. It is the ideal only of the proletariat. Not all classes are directly interested in its fulfillment. The proletariat alone is so interested. This means that as long as the proletariat constitutes a small section of society, the establishment of the socialist system is impossible. The decay of the old form of production, the further concentration of capitalist production, and the proletarianism of the majority of society. Such are the conditions needed for the achievement of socialism. But this is not enough. The majority in society may already be proletarianized, but socialism may not still be achieved. This is because, in addition to all of this, the achievement of socialism calls for class consciousness, the unity of the proletariat, and the ability of the proletariat to manage its own affairs. In order that all this may be acquired, what is called political freedom is needed, i.e. freedom of speech, press, strikes, and association. In short, freedom to wage the class struggle. Press, strikes, and association. In short, freedom to wage the class struggle. But political freedom is not equally ensured everywhere. Therefore, the conditions under which it is obliged to wage Hello, Floof. Right, Von Wall. It's just unnecessary. Unless it's Bakunin. Because gross. Yeah, they're probably not great reasons to do it, but there was reasons. Who's defending that? It's not a valid reason. Right, they're just explaining the reason, but it's not a good reason. I don't think anybody here is defending it. They're just saying the reason. Right? I don't see anybody defending it. Okay. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? But political freedom is not equally ensured everywhere. Therefore, the conditions under which it is obliged to wage the struggle, under the feudal autocracy in Russia, a constitutional monarchy in Germany, the big bourgeois empire or republic in France, or under the democratic republic which Russian social democracy is demanding, are not a matter of indifference to the proletariat. Political freedom is best and most fully ensured in a democratic republic, that is, of course, insofar as it can be ensured under capitalism at all. Therefore, all advocates of proletarian socialism necessarily strive for the establishment of democratic republic as the best bridge to socialism. That is why, under present conditions, the Marxist program is divided into two parts. The maximum program, the goal of which is socialism, and the minimum program, the object of which is to lay the road to socialism through the democratic republic. What must the proletarian do? What path must it take in order consciously to carry out its program to overthrow capitalism and build socialism? The answer is clear. The proletariat cannot achieve socialism by making peace with the bourgeoisie. It must unfailingly take the path of the struggle. And this struggle must be a class struggle. The struggle of the entire proletarians against the entire bourgeoisie. Either the bourgeoisie and its capitalism or the proletariat and its socialism. That must be the basis of the proletariat's actions of its class struggle. Live the sex? What's happening here? What's happening? He likes semen? That's great for you. I don't know what's happening here. I took away the tank emoji and I am waiting for my other one to get approved. Like I put it back, but it's getting approved. I did a whole bunch of stuff today. Chilean children got out of school. Listen, can you please stop talking about boobs and sex? What's happening here? It's not the best tank on Twitch. Don't lie to people, please. Please don't lie. It's a nasty thing to lie. Thank you. There's too many perverts in here. But the proletarians' class struggle assumes numerous forms. A strike, for example, whether partial or general makes no difference, it is a class struggle. A boycott, a sabotage are undoubtedly a class struggle. Meetings, demonstrations, activity in public representative bodies, etc., Whether national parliaments or local government bodies makes no difference. They are a class struggle. All these are different forms of the same class struggle. We shall not here examine which form of struggle is more important for the proletariat and its class struggle. We shall merely observe that in its proper time and place, each is undoubtedly needed by the proletariat as essential means for developing its class consciousness and organization. And the proletariat needs class consciousness and organization as much as it needs air. It must also be observed, however, that for the proletariat, all of these forms of struggle are merely preparatory means, and that none of them, taken separately, constitute a decisive means by which the proletariat can smash capitalism. Capitalism cannot be smashed by the general strike alone. A general strike can only create some of the conditions that are necessary for the smashing of capitalism. It is inconceivable that the proletariat should be able to overthrow capitalism merely by its activity in parliament. Parliamentarianism can only prepare some of the conditions that are necessary for overthrowing capitalism. What then is the decisive means by which the proletariat will overthrow the capitalist system? The socialist revolution. This is the means. The socialist revolution, folks. Yeah, people are talking about semen in here. This is the Lord's day. Stalin's day. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking kidding, okay? Don't freak out. Now you're gonna make me look up the fucking thing, that nasty thing that they said to me. Thanks. They're talking about my boobs, I know. What are they saying about my boobs? That's not how. Show your tits. What I don't know what the last part is, but oh shit. You guys have problems. They said something bad that wouldn't have been caught by Google Translate. Yeah, it didn't. Don't worry, guys. I will not. I'm not going to show my tits at the request of that one chatter. It's safe. You're safe. For real. There's no such thing as a clever right-wing troll. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of fucking methods, and what he's saying is there's many different things, but like general strike alone, that shit is not going to get us socialism. We have to do a lot more, sweaty. Strikes, boycotts, parliamentarianism, meetings, and demonstrations are all good forms of struggle as meant for preparing and organizing the proletariat, but none of these is a means of capable of abolishing existing inequality. All these means must be concentrated into one principle and decisive means. The proletariat must rise and launch a determined attack among the bourgeoisie in order to destroy capitalism to its foundations. The principal and decisive means is the socialist revolution. I actually really like that. I'm gonna tweet that out. That's a tweet. Thanks, Stalin. Done. Bam. Boom. Banger tweet, Stalin. Meryl, just keep it to yourself, maybe. If you can. Okay. The socialist revolution must not be conceived as a sudden and short blow. It is a prolonged struggle waged by the proletarian masses who inflict defeat upon the bourgeoisie and capture its positions. And as the victory of the proletariat will at the same time mean domination over the vanquished bourgeoisie, as in a collision of classes, the defeat of one class signifies the domination of the other. The first stage of socialist revolution will be the political domination of the proletariat over the bourgeoisie. The socialist dictatorship of the proletariat, capture of the power by the proletariat. This is what the socialist revolution must start with. This means that until the bourgeoisie is completely vanquished and until its wealth has been confiscated, the proletariat must without fail possess a military force. It must without fail have its proletarian guard, and with the aid of which it will repel the counter-revolutionary attacks of the dying bourgeoisie, exactly as the Paris proletariat did during the Commune. Rest in peace, that Commune. The socialist dictatorship of the proletariat is needed to enable the proletariat to expropriate the bourgeoisie, to enable it to confiscate the lands, forests, factories, and mills, machines, and railways from the bourgeoisie. The expropriation of the bourgeoisie, this is what the socialist revolution must lead to. This expropriation means we take their shit. Yes? That's lovely, JB. What, Merle? What? What are you saying, oh God, for? This, then, is the principal and decisive means by which the proletariat will overthrow the present capitalist system. This is why Karl Marx said as far back as 1847, the first step in the revolution by the working class is to raise the proletariat to the position of the ruling class. Oh my God, and that's when you have people saying, like, we're just going to become the people. Like, no, like, stop it. Like, it's completely different, because instead of the one person, Jeff Bezos, owning it, it's all the people collectively owning all his farms, right? That's completely different than one person owning it and, like, not giving us the fruits of our own labor, right? No, the revolution must be perfect. No mistakes in learning along the way. That's right, Dickie. Militantly against learning. The thing you said you didn't want me to say, I read further the original meaning. I thought it was wrong. Merle, why are you still talking about it if I told you not to say it? Please. You're surprised there was Nazis in here? There's Nazis in here all the time, freaking being terrible. Have to find them and kick them out. Okay. This, then, is the principal and decisive means by... Oh, fuck, did I read that? Yeah, I already read that. The proletariat will use its political supremacy to wrest by degrees all capital from the bourgeoisie, to centralize the instruments of production in the hands of the proletariat, organized as the ruling class. Bam. Boom. That's what we need to do, folks. This is how the proletariat must proceed if it wants to bring about socialism. So we got to go and take all the means of production. From this general principle emerge all the other views on tactics. Strikes, boycotts, demonstrations, and parliamentarianism are only insofar as they are important only insofar as they help to organize the proletariat, to strengthen and enlarge the organization from accomplishing the socialist revolution. Thus, to bring about socialism, the socialist revolution is needed. And the socialist revolution must begin with the dictatorship of the proletariat. The proletariat must capture political power as means with which to expropriate the bourgeoisie. But to achieve all of this, the proletariat must be organized. The proletariat's ranks must be closely knit and united. Strong proletarian organization must be formed. These must steadily grow. What forms must the proletarian organization assume? The most widespread mass organization are trade unions and workers' cooperatives, mainly producers and consumers cooperatives. The object of trade unions is to fight mainly against the industrial capital to improve conditions of the workers within the limits of the present-day capitalist system. The object of the cooperatives is to fight mainly against merchant capital to secure an increase of consumption among the workers by reducing prices of articles of prime necessity. Right? So they wouldn't be charging as much or at all for shit. Well, I guess in the cooperative they would still be charging, but not a lot. Also within the limits of the capitalist system, of course. The proletariat undoubtedly needs both trade unions and cooperatives as a means of organizing the proletarian masses. Hence, from the point of view of the proletarian socialism of Marx and Engels, the proletariat must utilize both of these forms of organization to reinforce and strengthen them, as far as this is possible under the present political conditions, of course. But trade unions and cooperatives alone cannot satisfy the organizational needs of the militant proletariat. This is because the organization mentioned cannot go beyond the limits of capitalism, for their object is to improve the conditions of the worker under the capitalist system. The worker, however, wants to free themselves entirely from the capitalist slavery. They want to smash these limits and not merely operate within the limits of capitalism. Hence, in addition to an organization is needed that will rally around itself the class-conscious element of the workers of all trades that will transform the proletariat into a conscious class and make its chief aim to smash the capitalist system, to prepare for the socialist revolution. Such organization is the Social Democratic Party of the proletariat. So, the Social Democratic Party was different back then. That's what they were. The Socialist Party was called. It's not what we have today. Just FYI. Right, Miro. Right. Wow, Von Wall. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. You're gonna go there. This party must be a class party. Oh, wait. Did I talk about it? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about a party now. We need a party, but not. Let's see POSA. The party must be a class party, and it must be quite independent of other parties. And this is because it is the party of the proletarian class, the emancipation of which can be brought about only by this class itself. The party must be a revolutionary party, and this is because the workers can be emancipated only by revolutionary means, by means of the socialist revolution. This party must be an international party. The doors of the party must be open to all class-conscious proletariats, and this is because the emancipation of the workers is not a national, but a social question, equally important for the Georgian proletariats, for the Russian proletariats, and for the proletariats of other nations. Hence, it is clear that the more closely the proletarians of the different nations are united, the more thoroughly the national barriers which have been raised between them are demolished, the stronger the will of the party of the proletariat be, and the more will the organization of the proletariat in one indivisible class be facilitated. Hence, it is necessary, as far as possible, to introduce the principle of centralism into the proletariat's organizations and against the looseness of federation, irrespective of whether these organizations are party, trade union, or cooperative. It is also clear that all these organizations must be built on the democratic basis, insofar as this is not hindered by the political or other conditions, of course. What should be the relation between the party on the one hand and the cooperatives and trade unions on the other? Should the latter be party or non-party? The answer to this question depends on whether and under what the conditions the proletariat has to fight. All at events, there can be no doubt that the friendlier the trade unions and cooperatives are towards the Socialist Party of the proletariat, the more fully will both develop. And this is because both of these economic organizations, if they are not closely connected with a strong socialist party, often become petty, allow narrow craft interests to obscure general class interests, and thereby cause great harm to the proletariat. If it is therefore necessary in all cases to ensure that the trade unions and cooperatives are under the ideological and political influence of the party. Right, and so I don't know if you've read A Letter to Our Comrades on Organizational Tasks by Lenin, but he also talks about this kind of shit too. Obviously, because right now we're in the how do things come. So we have the newspaper is what Lenin says is the newspaper, or the central organization, the central committee is the ideological leader of the party and disseminates information that way. And that's kind of what's happening right now, what he's talking about. Only if this is done will the organizations mentioned be transformed into a socialist school that will organize the proletariat at present split up into separate groups into a class consciousness. And what do we have to do right now? Our most important thing that we have to do is to create more communists. We have to organize the people, right? So we have to go to the striking workers, and we have to go to the people with cooperatives, and we have to go to the trade unions and get them on the side of socialism. But we don't have a fucking party. We don't have a party, which sucks. We don't have a good party right now. We don't have a capital P party. Such in general are the characteristic features of the proletarian socialism of Marx and Engels. How do the anarchists look upon proletarian socialism? First of all, we must know that the proletarian socialism is not a philosophical doctrine. It is the doctrine of a proletarian masses, their banner. It is honored and revered by the proletarians all over the world. Consequently, Marx and Engels are not simply the founders of philosophical school. They are the living leaders of the living proletarian movement, which is growing and gaining strength every day. Whoever fights against this doctrine, whoever wants to overthrow it, must keep all this well in mind so as to avoid his head cracked for nothing else in an unequal struggle. Monsieur anarchists are well aware of this. This is why, in fighting Marx and Engels, they resort to a most unusual and, in this way, new weapon. What is this new weapon? A new investigation of capitalist production? A refutation of Marxist capital? Of course not. Or perhaps having armed themselves with new facts and the inductive method, they say, scientifically refute the Bible of social democracy, the Communist Manifesto of Marx and Engels. Again, no! Then what is this extraordinary weapon? It is the accusation that Marx and Engels indulge in plagiarism. Plagiarisms. Would you believe it? Would you believe it? Oh my god. This is so silly. It appears that Marx and Engels wrote nothing original, that scientific socialism is pure fiction, because the Communist Manifesto in Engels was from the beginning to end stolen from the manifesto of Victor Considerant. This is quite ludicrous, of course, but oh fuck his name again. But Cherkasishvili, the incomparable leader of the anarchists, relates this amusing story with such aplomb, and a certain Pierre Ramus, Cherkasishvili's foolish apostle, and our homegrown anarchists repeat this discovery with such fervor that is worthwhile dealing, at least briefly, with his story. Oh my god. He's about to get so catty. Okay, listen to Cherkasishvili. I'm never gonna be able to say that. Cherkasishvili. The entire theoretical part of the Communist Manifesto, namely first and second chapters, are taken from the Considerant. Consequently, the Manifesto of Marx and Engels, that Bible of legal revolutionary democracy. Oh my god, he called it a fucking Bible. I hate when people call this shit the Bible. Like, come on. Nobody calls it that except for you. And I know Stalin said it earlier, but he was quoting this dude, so. The Bible of legal revolutionary democracy is nothing but a clumsy paraphrasing of Considerant's manifesto. Marx and Engels not only appropriated the content of Considerant's manifesto, but even borrowed some of its chapter headings. See the synopsism of articles by these fuckers. I'm not going to say their name. Published in German under the title of The Origin of the Communist Manifesto. Communist. This story is repeated by another anarchist, Ramus. It can be emphatically asserted that Marx and Engels' major work, the Communist Manifesto, is simply a theft, plagiary, a shameless theft that they did not, however, copy it word for word as ordinary thieves do, but stole only ideas and theories. This guy is butthurt. This is repeated by our anarchists, Nobody, Mushu, and Cage, I don't know how you say it, and other papers. Thus it appears that scientific socialism and its theoretical principles were stolen. They were stolen by the Considerant's manifesto. Are there any grounds for this assertion? What was V. Considerant? What was Karl Marx? V. Considerant, who died in 1893, was a disciple of utopian Fourier, and remained an incorrigible utopian who placed his hopes for the salvation of France on the consolation of classes. Karl Marx, who died in 1883, was a materialist, the enemy of utopians. He regarded the development of productive forces and the struggle between classes as the guarantee of liberation of mankind. Is there anything in common between them? The theoretical basis of scientific socialism is the materialist theory of Marx and Engels. From the standpoint of this theory, the development of social life is wholly determined by the development of the productive forces. If the feudal landlord system was superseded by the bourgeois system, the blame for this rests upon the development of the productive forces, which made the rise of the bourgeois system inevitable. Or again, if present bourgeois system was inevitably superseded by the socialist system, it is because this is called for by the development of modern productive forces. Hence, the historical necessity of the destruction of capitalism and the establishment of socialism. Hence, the Marxist proposition that we must seek our ideals in the history of the development of productive forces and not in the minds of men. Yes, indeed, working class is when blue hair. Yes. And communism is when no iPhone. Vuvuzela. You hear? You won't be in here for long, Tolstoy. Yeah, gobbiness doesn't sound great. Yeah, we are not tolerant of bigots, and if you're like stupid and annoying, and you're already talking about blue hair, I will fucking get you out of here, Tolstoy, because I don't have no time for no stupid ass trolls, yo. You seem stupid. You do seem stupid already. Not gonna lie. Little stupid. Imagine being triggered by the color of somebody else's hair. Like, wow, beta. Okay. What then induces these queer critics to indulge in this idle chatter? What do they undertake to criticize Marx and Engels when they are unable even to distinguish idealism from materialism? I don't know, but it happens still to this day. Goddamn. Thank you. You just blew into a microphone with a vuvuzela. Hell yeah, I did. Actually, I blew into the camera, which doesn't have a microphone. Yeah, just get rid of the riffraff. We don't need no fucking chuds in here. I do not entertain chuds. Tolerant the community is. I just love that. I just fucking love that. I love that so much. Imagine being upset over somebody else's hair color. So fucking weird. Okay. Yeah, we are not tolerant of intolerance. Yeah, people say that to me all the time. They just say like whatever nasty little thing comes to their head. Yeah, the gorilla and sons were here. Oh, was that Tolstoy? Was Tolstoy a gorilla and son weirdo? Yeah, maybe it was Tolstoy calling me a revisionist. Imagine calling Stalin a revisionist though, like so weird. Okay, yeah. For real, I don't know how that happened. 23. Okay, where are they at? I love that he's talking about how like people who are talking shit about communism are unable to even distinguish between idealism and materialism, which is still happening today. It happens all the fucking time. All the time. Is it only to amuse people? I don't know. Stalin, I'm not amused. The tactical basis of scientific socialism is the doctrine of uncompromising class struggle. For this is the best weapon for the proletarian possess. The proletarian's class struggle is the weapon by means of which the proletariat will capture political power and then expropriate the bourgeoisie in order to establish socialism. Such is the tactical basis of scientific socialism as expounded in the manifesto of Marx and Engels. Oh my god, and first of all, let me just say to you fucking Haas viewers, you goddamn Haas viewers with your gorillas and sons, you should stay in this channel and you should listen to actual theory, right? Because you're just listening to Haas, and Haas is a fucking moron. Sorry. Haas is very stupid. He said that we are literally living in socialism right now. And so therefore he is stupid. Because if this is socialism in the United States, I don't want it. Oh, two holes Haas. He is. He's again. He fucking doesn't even. He thinks that land back is a joke because it's not land reform. Like, hello, idiot. Everyone always says that communism looks different everywhere, right? So yeah, they had land reform in places where they didn't have like genocide of indigenous people to fucking take their land, right? So it's gonna look different here, right? Because it wasn't just the bourgeoisie buying it up, all the land. It was the fucking people that moved over here. They did a fucking genocide, and so our land back is, or our land reform is going to look like land back, right? Don't be a fucking idiot. I hate you. Yes, that one, Floof. Yes, that one. That's the one. Yeah. It wouldn't hurt you, patriotic socialists, to stand a little closer to some fucking books. That's all I'm saying. Whatever. Two holes has. Nazis steal your land and then you want reform. Where the fuck was I at? Hey, look at that one. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, I don't have mine on here. I have mine over here. Let's see. I think I'm subbed to you. Yes. Okay. Such is the tactical basis of scientific socialism as expounded up in the manifesto of Marx and Engels. Is anything like this said in Considerant's Democratic Manifesto? Did Considerant regard the class struggle as the best weapon the proletariat possesses? As evident from the articles of Chirk and Ramuz, see the mention above Synopsism, there is not a word about this in Considerant's manifesto. It merely notes the class struggle as a deplorable fact. And as regards the class struggle as a means of smashing capitalism, Considerant spoke of it in his manifesto as follows. Capital, labor, and talent. Such are the three basic elements of production, the three sources of wealth, the three wheels of the industrial mechanism. The three classes which represent them have common interests. Their function is to make the machines work for the capitalists and for the people. Before them, it is a great goal of organizing the association of classes within the unity of nations. See the Koski pamphlet. Oh, God. So capital, labor, and talent is what he's talking about. These three classes which represent them have common interests. It is the function to make the machines work for the capitalists and for the people. That doesn't make sense. All classes unite. Yeah, like that's not the same thing at all. Like having the bourgeoisie and the proletariat unite, why the fuck would they do this? Why would they do this? Out of their generosity? Silly. This is the slogan that Considerant proclaimed in his Democratic Manifesto. What is best Stalin on Twitch? I remember seeing patriotic socialists saying America is not settler colonial state. Ah, you mean Andean Comintern. Yeah, he's a... Oh, hi. Hi, Dia. Fuck. I am not saying your name right. Dia. There's another part to your name that I don't remember. But thank you so much for following. Lovely to have you here. Diana, that's it. Diana. Fuck. Literally, I know this. I did know that. I knew that. Actually did know that. Thank you, Diana, for following. Welcome it. Jackson Hinkle, the Nazball who switched to being conservative. Oh my god, he finally took out communist out of his bio. He finally took it out. He just took it out. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, you cannot be patriotic if you are a communist. Well, you can't be patriotic for the United States, right? Like, you can have national pride if your nation was not like built on genocide and the enslavement of people, right? You can like do that. Like, there are some examples of nationalism that is not like bad, right? If you actually, Stalin writes on this as well, the national question, which we can probably read soon, but yeah, just not here. It's not going to work here. There's nothing to go back to that's like a core of this country that's good. You gotta, it's always bad. But hello, just call me Escanorm. Endorsing a settled colonial state is endorsing a foundation of genocide. Correct. Are you being semantics with this right now? Like, the state as in what? Like, the thing that protects capital, or like what people call a block of land? I love that you're coming into my stream and telling me like about communism. That's cute. It's cute. I like it. It's fine. Okay, so all classes unite. That's actually really, really silly. Why is that silly? Why would the bourgeoisie and the proletariat hook up together? Like, they wouldn't. Like, they have antagonisms that they have to fucking go through. You know, they have to settle those antagonisms. You're a communist, yet you live in a state. I remember Malpin addressing a comment about him being a grifter. Caleb stated, if I was a grifter, I would have just posted naked girls on YouTube. Oh, God. He's an idiot. He blocked me. But he sucks. Yeah, he's more of a neocon. Yeah, he's not great. Okay. Why are you here? Why are you back? Why are you back here? Why are you back here? Why did you not just leave? Tolstoy, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you here just to bother me? Or like, do you like want to listen or what? Me too. Thanks for following. Yes, I am fucking hostile. I don't have time for this. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to read this fucking book to people who want to listen. If you are one of those people who want to listen, then just listen. If you're not, then you can fucking leave, sweaty. You can just go. I don't believe in see, have you changed? Are you going to be less annoying and reactionary about my blue hair? Actually, I think I'm gonna do it purple next, though. They might clash with the stream. I might do it anyways, though. Purple does sound nice. It's been blue for a long time. Will you cry, Tolstoy, if my hair is blue? Or purple? You already do cry if it's blue, so. Okay. What is there in common between these tactics of class conciliation and the tactics of uncompromising class struggle advocated by Marx and Engels, whose resolute call was, "Proletarians of all countries, unite against the anti-proletarian classes." Not join forces, that's ridiculous. There is nothing in common between them, of course. Why then do Monsieur Turk and their foolish followers talk this rubbish? Do they think we are dead? Do they think we shall not drag them into the light of day? They're fucking dragging them, yo! Yes, oh my god. If Stalin had a Twitter, you guys would be fucked. You guys would be so fucked. And lastly, there is one other interesting point of Considerant. Considerant lived up to 1893. He published his Democratic Manifesto in 1843, and at the end of 1847, Marx and Engels wrote their Communist Manifesto. After that, the Manifesto of Marx and Engels was published over and over again, all in all European languages. Everybody knows that the Manifesto of Karl Marx and Engels was an epoch-making document. Nevertheless, nowhere did Considerant or his friends ever state during the lifetime of Marx and Engels that the latter had stolen socialism from Considerant's manifesto. Is this not strange, reader? What then impels the inductive upstarts, I beg your pardon, scholars, to talk this rubbish? In whose name are they speaking? Are they more familiar with Considerant's manifesto than was Considerant himself? Or perhaps that they think Considerant and his supporters had not read the manifesto. But enough. Enough, because the anarchists themselves did not take seriously the quixotic? What is this word? Quixotic? Exceedingly idealistic, unrealistic, and practical. Wait, hold on, one more time.
Quixotic.
Okay. The Quixotic crusade launched by Ramus and Chirk, the inglorious end of the ridiculous crusade, is too obvious to make it worthy of much attention. Let's proceed to the actual criticism. The anarchists suffer from a certain ailment. They are very fond of criticizing the parties of their opponents, but they do not take the trouble to make themselves in the least familiar with these parties. We have seen the anarchists behave precisely in this way when criticizing the dialectical method and the materialist theory of the Social Democrats. They behave in the same way when they deal with the theory of scientific socialism and of the Social Democrats. Let us, for example, take the following fact. Who does not know that the fundamental disagreement exists between the Socialist Revolutionaries and the Social Democrats? Who does not know that the former repudiate Marxism, the materialist theory of Marxism, its dialectical method, its program, the class struggle, whereas the Social Democrats take their stand entirely on Marxism? This fundamental disagreement must be self-evident to anyone who has heard anything, if only with half his ear, about the controversy between the organization of the Socialist Revolutionary, and Iskra, the organ of the Social Democrats. Okay, so Iskra was written about in the Letter to a Comrade on Organizational Tasks as well. And in, I think, What is to be Done, which is a paper. But what will you say about those critics who fail to see this difference between the two and shout that both the Socialist Revolutionaries and Social Democrats are Marxists? Or maybe it was. For example, the anarchists both those paper For example, the anarchists assert that both Revoluziana Rosia and Iskra are Marxist organs. That shows how familiar the anarchists are with the principles of social democracy. After this, the soundness of their scientific criticism will be self-evident. Let us examine this criticism. The anarchist principal accusation is that they do not regard the Social Democrats as genuine socialists. You are not socialists, you are enemies of socialism, they keep on repeating. This is what Kropotkin writes on the score. We arrive at conclusions different from those arrived by the majority of economists of the social democratic school. We arrive at free communism, whereas the majority of socialists, meaning democratic socialists too, arrive at state capitalism or collectivism. What is state capitalism and collectivism of the social democrats? This is what Kropotkin writes about it. The German socialists say that all accumulated wealth must be concentrated at the hand of the state, which will place at the disposal of workers' associations, organized production, and exchange, and control the life of the work of society. And further, in their schemes, the collectivists commit a double mistake. They want to abolish the capitalist system, but they preserve the two institutions which constitute the foundation of the system, a representative government and the wage labor. Collectivism, as is well known, preserves wage labor. Only representative government takes the place of the employer. The representative of this government retains the right to utilize in the interest of the surplus value obtained from production. Moreover, in this system, a distinction is made between the labor of the common laborer and that of the trained man. The labor of the unskilled worker and the opinion of the collectivist is simple labor, whereas the skilled craftsman, engineer, scientist, and so forth perform what Marx calls complex labor and have the right to higher wages. Thus, the workers will receive their necessary products not according to their needs, but in a proportion to the service they render society. The Georgian anarchist says the same thing, but with greater aplomb. Oh my god, he loves this word. Fucking loves this word. Particularly outstanding among them for recklessness of his statements is Mr. Baton. He writes, "What is the collectivism of the Social Democrats? Collectivism, or more correctly, state capitalism, is based on the following principle. Each must work as much as he likes or as much as the state determines and receive in reward the value of his labor in the shape of goods. Consequently, here there is needed a legislative assembly. There is needed also an executive power, i.e. ministers, all sorts of administrators, gendarmes, and spies, and perhaps also troops if there are too many discontented." Such is the first accusation of Monsieur the anarchist against social democracy. Yeah, that was crazy. From the arguments of the anarchists as follows: that, in the opinion of social democrats, social society is impossible without the government, which, in the capacity of principal masters, will hire workers and will certainly have ministers, gendarmes, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and spies. But I think that's like police. Yeah.
Gendarme.
Gendarme. Police. Monsieur the anarchiste. Ha 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 ha! Hi, Sebs. That noise nasty. I don't know if I've changed. Time to mad again. So, anarchism. Yeah, I thought it was like from that. Purple was the color for royalty. Oh my god. You guys are so silly. Okay. Hello. In the opinion of social democrats, socialist society is impossible without the government, in which capacity of principal matter will hire workers and will certainly have ministers. Oh fuck, I already read that. Those are the 2 points of which the anarchist accusation against social democracy are based. Has this accusation advanced by Monsieur the Anarchist any foundation? We assert that everything the anarchists say on this subject is either the result of stupidity or it is stupidity or it is despicable slander. Here are the facts. As far back as 1846, Karl Marx said, "The working class in the course of development will substitute for the old bourgeois society an association which will exclude classes and their antagonisms, and there will be no more political power, properly so called." A year later, Marx and Engels expressed the same idea in the Communist Manifesto. In 1877, Engels wrote, "The first act which the state really comes forward is the representation of society as a whole. The taking possession of the means of production in the name of society is at the same time its last independent act as a state." Okay, so let's read that again. The first act in which the state really comes forward as the representative of society as a whole, the taking possession of the means of production in the name of society, is at the same time its last independent act as a state. The interference of the state's power in social relations becomes superfluous in one sphere after another, and then ceases of itself. The state is not abolished, it withers away. In 1884, the same Engels wrote, "The state, then, has not exited from all eternity. There have been societies that did without it, and that had no conception of the state, and at a certain stage of economic development, which was necessarily bound with the cleavage of society into classes, the state became a necessity. We are now rapidly approaching the stage in this development of production at which the existence of these classes will not only have ceased to be a necessity, but will become positive hindrance to all production. They will fall as inevitably as they arose at the earlier stage. Along with them, the state will inevitably fall. The society that will organize production on the basis of the free and equal association of the producer will put the whole machinery..." Did he put this in here again? "We'll put it where it belongs, in the Museum of the Antiques, by the side of the spinning wheel and the bronze axe." So he said the same thing in 1891. As you see in the opinion of... Fuck, I'm not going to read it again. Are you writing it again? He's just writing it over and over. As you see in the opinion of the Social Democrats, socialist society is a society in which there will be no room for so-called state power, political power, with its ministers, governors, gendarmes, police, and soldiers. You're right, wolf skeptic. You are right. Social Democrats are the enemy. Hi, Verby. Thanks for following. Where am I at? But when the bourgeoisie is abolished, when classes are abolished, when socialism becomes firmly established, there will be no need for any political power, and the so-called state will retire into the sphere of history. Oh my God. Why are you here? You're so annoying. You know what? They're too nice to you. Get fucked. Bye. Don't come back. Fuck off. Okay. Oh, you're trying to waste their time. That's me, yeah. Your Honor, I'd like permission to treat this viewer as hostile. That's how I treat all of you. You have to come in here and you have to prove that you're not a terrible Nazi. I think that's fair. Plus, who brags about being German? Yikes, sweaty. I am reading Anarchism or Socialism by Joseph Stalin. That's true, Bonwell, because I already know I love you. Irish? I think we can do that one. I think we can do that one, maybe. Republican? I don't think I understand the Irish politics, so maybe I'm hoping the Republicans are good over there, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, then yes, you can be proud to be an Irish Republican. Yes. Listen, shut up, okay? I had a feeling that this was that the Irish Republicans was an okay thing. Okay. Okay, where am I at? The last stage in the existence of the state will be the period of the socialist revolution, when the proletariat will capture political power and set up its own government, dictatorship, for the dictatorship of the proletariat, for the final abolition of the bourgeoisie. But when the bourgeoisie is abolished, when classes are abolished, when socialism becomes firmly established, there will be no need for any political power, and then the so-called state will retire into the sphere of history. Goodbye, state. As you see, the above-mentioned accusation of the anarchists is merely tittle-tattle, devoid of all foundation. Tittle-tattle. You heard? As regards to the second point of the accusation, Karl Marx says the following. In the higher phase of communist society, the enslaving subordination of the individual to the division of labor, and therewith also the antithesis between mental and physical labor, has vanished. After labor has become life's prime want, after the productive forces have also increased with all-round development of individual, only then can narrow horizon of bourgeois law be crossed into its entirety, and society inscribed on its banners, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. As you see, in Marx's opinion, the higher phase of communist, i.e. socialist society, will be a system under which the division of labor work into dirty and clean, and the contrary between mental and physical labor will be completely abolished. Labor will be equal, and in society and genuine communist principle will prevail. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Here there is no room for wage labor. Clearly, this accusation is also devoid of all foundation. One of two things: either Monsieur Anarchiste have never seen the above-mentioned works of Marx and Engels and indulged in criticism on the basis of hearsay, or they are familiar with the above-mentioned works in Marx and Engels and are deliberately lying. Such is the fate of the first accusation. The second accusation of the anarchists is that they deny the social democracy is revolutionary. That they deny social democracy is revolutionary. You are not revolutionaries. You repudiate violent revolution. You want to establish socialism only by means of ballot papers, Monsieur Anarchist tells us. Listen to this. Social democrats are fond of declaiming on the theme of revolution, revolutionary struggle, fighting with the arms in hand. But if you, in the simplicity of your heart, ask them for arms, they will solemnly hand you a ballot paper to vote in elections. They affirmed that the only expedient tactics befitting revolutionaries are peaceful and legal parliamentarism with the oath of allegiance to capitalism, to establish powers, and to end to the entire existing bourgeois system. The Georgian anarchists say this at the same time with even greater aplomb. Of course, I feel like have I just accidentally gone back and fucked it up? We've read this so many times. He's going over these different accusations. Jesus Christ, Stalin. How many times are you going to do this? Buddy? That is what Monsieur anarchists say about the Marxists. He says, has this accusation... I don't know, enough about that situation, Dickie, but I support land back, and I support the self-determination of indigenous people, and I support decolonization. So yes, we do. The Red Army does. But I'm not familiar on Turtle Island. Thanks, Manuel. Nice, Merle. Thanks, Furby. Okay, where was that? As far back as the end of 1847, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote, "The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be obtained only by the forcible overthrow of the existing social conditions. Let the ruling class tremble at the communistic revolution." Hell yeah. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have the world to win. Working men of all working men and women and non-binary people of all countries unite. In 1850, the anticipation of another outbreak in Germany, Karl Marx wrote the German comrades of that time as follows. This Marx guy is kind of based, not gonna lie. He's pretty cool. Turtle Island, aka north of Central America. Central America. Yeah, I'm for land back. Yeah, I'm for land back of all indigenous populations. You know, like if the fucking capitalists took it from you, then you need it back. That's just what it is. Will not stand. So in 1850, in anticipation of another outbreak, Karl Marx wrote, "Arms and ammunition must not be surrendered on any pretext. The workers must organize themselves independently as a proletarian guard with commanders and with a general staff, and this you must keep in your view during and after the impending insurrection." So it sounds like he's talking about like the vanguard situation, like the people must form a vanguard. Karl Marx and Engels wrote, "The insurrectionary career once entered upon, act with the greatest determination and on the offensive. The defensive is the death of every armed rising. Surprise your antagonists while their forces are scattering. Prepare new successes, however small, but daily. Force your enemies to retreat before they can collect their strength against you. In the words of Danton, the greatest master of revolutionary policy yet known, revolution..." Wait, what the fuck is this? I can't say this. What is this? What does this mean? Audacity, more audacity, and even more audacity. Audacity, and even more audacity. Nice. We think that something more than ballot papers is meant here. Yeah, can you imagine reading the Communist Manifesto and thinking that they mean to vote in socialism? How goofy. Did you even read the book? I could tell you didn't read the book. Sal is decent. Thanks. Lastly, recall the history of the Paris Commune. Recall how peacefully the Commune acted when it was content with the victory in Paris and refraining from attacking Versailles. Versailles? Fuck. I can't say anything. A hotbed of counter-revolution. What do you think Marx said at that time? Did he call upon the Parisians to go out to the ballot box? Did he express approval of complacency of the workers of Paris? The whole of Paris was in the hands of the workers. Did he approve the good nature they displayed towards the vanquished Versailles? How the fuck can I not pronounce that word? Versailles? No, that's not how you say that. Listen to what Marx said. No, there is not a not suitable for work area in the Discord. Versailles? Versailles. Thanks. Versailles. Shit. I've even, like, been to Paris, and I still can't say that. Versailles. Excuse me. You can say it now. Yeah. Yeah, there's no NSFW. What are you looking for? That's perfect. That's perfect, Bonwell, because I do get lazy. What elasticity, what historical initiative, what capacity for sacrifice in these Parisians. After 6 months of hunger, they rise beneath Prussian bayonets. History has no like example of like greatness. What are you looking for? Ooh. If they are defeated, only in their good nature will be to blame. They should have marched at once on Versailles, after first Vinoy and then the reactionary section of the Paris National Guard had themselves retreated. They missed their opportunity because of the conscientious scruples. See, they need to be more Machiavellian. They did not want to start a civil war. As if that mischievous abortion theirs had not already started the civil war with his attempt to disarm Paris. That is how Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels thought and acted. This is how the Social Democrats think and act. Okay, so it's Social Democrats talking about, like, back then their Social Democrats were like socialists, but they are not like that anymore, okay? But the anarchists go on repeating, Marx and Engels and their followers are interested only in ballot papers. They repudiate violent revolutionary action. As you see, this accusation is also slander, which exposes the anarchists' ignorance on the essence of Marxism. Such is the fate of the second accusation. The third accusation of the anarchists consists of denying that social democracy is even part of the movement, describing the Social Democrats as bureaucrats and affirming that the social democratic plan for the dictatorship of the proletariat spells the death of the revolution. And since the Social Democrats stand for such the dictatorship, they actually want to establish non-dictatorship of the proletariat, but their own dictatorship over the proletariat. Listen to Mr. Kropotkin. We anarchists have pronounced final sentence upon dictatorship. We know that every dictatorship, no matter how honest its intention, will lead to the death of the revolution. We know that the idea of dictatorship is nothing more or less than the pernicious product of governmental fetishism, which always striven to perpetuate slavery. Wow, how ridiculous. Kropotkin, what a fool. The Social Democrats only recognize revolutionary dictatorship. They also advocate dictatorship of the proletariat. The workers are of interest to them only insofar as they are disciplined army under their control. False. False. Social democracy strives through the medium of the proletariat to capture the state machine. Wow, Kropotkin sucks. Animal theory, friends, and beautiful images, certainly. Okay. Governmental fetishism, for real. Kropotkin, yeah, Kropotkin is a goof. I read, fuck, what did I read? Let me check my book thing. Mutual Aid. Yeah, Mutual Aid. It's just called Mutual Aid. But I don't know where. I haven't read Bread and Freedom. It sounds very silly. The Georgian anarchist says the same thing. Same thing. The dictatorship of the proletariat is the direct sense of the in the direct sense of the term is utterly impossible because the advocates of dictatorship are statesmen, and their dictatorship will not be free activities of the entire proletariat, but established at the head of society of the same representative government that exists today. False. The Social Democrats stand for dictatorship not only in order to facilitate the emancipation of the proletariat, but in order, by their own rule, to establish a new slavery. What the fuck? Yeah, nobody sounds terrible. Such is the third accusation of Monsieur Anarchiste. It requires no great effort to expose this, one of the regular slanders uttered by the anarchists with the object of deceiving their readers. We shall not analyze here the deeply mistaken view of Kropotkin, according to whom every dictatorship spells death to the revolution. We shall discuss this later when we discuss the anarchist tactics. At present, we shall touch up only on the accusation itself. As far back as the end of 1847, Karl Marx and Engels said that to establish socialism, the proletariat must achieve political dictatorship in order, with the aid of this dictatorship, to repel the counter-revolutionary attacks on the bourgeoisie and to take from it the means of production. And this dictatorship must not be a dictatorship of few individuals, but a dictatorship of the entire proletariat class. The proletariat will use its political supremacy to wrest, by degrees, all capital from the bourgeoisie, to centralize all instruments of production in the hands of the proletariat organized as the ruling class. That is to say, the dictatorship of the proletariat will be a dictatorship of the entire proletariat class over the bourgeoisie and not the domination of a few individuals over the proletariat. So it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of the dictatorship of the proletariat as we see today. So why do we read this shit? Why do we read this shit? Because all the same problems are still happening today, and they are directly applicable to situations that we encounter today. Bakunin was terrible. Kropotkin, I don't know. Kropotkin is a noodlehead. I don't know if he was a racist, but he was definitely a noodlehead. Head was full of noodles. We are almost done, so don't get too sleepy. Don't get too sleepy. Yeah, sorry, future aristocracy. I didn't have I fell asleep last night and I didn't do the stream, and then I have something to do tonight, so I wanted to finish reading, so I just hopped on at a weird, not normal time for the Red Army stream. Very sorry about that if you... Yeah, sorry about that. I wonder what kind of noodles. I don't know, probably macaroni or something. Yes, it's not normally this time, but although I might start doing it on my son's nap time, maybe. Okay. Arguably worse today with the revisionism that eliminated the socialism around the time that this was written. Later they repeat the same idea that nearly all other works, such as, for example, the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, the class struggles in France, the civil war in France, the revolution and counter-revolution in Germany, and the anti-Düring in other works. But this is not all. To ascertain how Marx and Engels conceived of the dictatorship of the proletariat, to ascertain to what extent they regarded the dictatorship as possible, For all this, it is interesting to know their attitude towards the Paris Commune. The point is that the dictatorship of the proletariat is denounced not only because the anarchists, but not only by the anarchists, but also by the petty bourgeois, the urban petty bourgeois, including all kinds of butchers and tavern keepers. By all those whom Marx and Engels called Philistines. This is what Engels said about the dictatorship of the proletariat, addressing such Philistines. Of late, the German Philistine has more been filled with the wholesome terror at their words, dictatorship of the proletariat. Well and good, gentlemen, do you want to know what the dictatorship looks like? Look at the Paris Commune. That was the dictatorship of the proletariat. As you see, Engels conceived of the dictatorship of the proletariat in the same shape as the Paris Commune. Clearly, everybody who wants to know what the dictatorship of the proletariat is as conceived by Marxists must study the Paris Commune. Let us then turn to the Paris Commune. If it turns out that the Paris Commune was indeed the dictatorship of a few individuals over the proletariat, then down with Marxism, down with the dictatorship of the proletariat. But if we find that the Paris Commune was indeed the dictatorship of the proletariat over the bourgeoisie, then we shall laugh heartily at the anarchist slanderers who, in their struggle against Marxists, have no alternative but to invent slander. The history of the Paris Commune can be divided into two periods. The first period, when affairs in Paris were controlled by the well-known Central Committee, and the second period, when the authority of the Central Committee had expired, controls of affairs was transferred to the recently elected Commune. What was the Central Committee? What was its composition? Before us lies Arthur Arnold's Popular History of the Paris Commune, which, according to Arnold, briefly answers this question. The struggle had only just commenced when about 300,000 Paris workers organized its companies and battalions, elected delegates from their ranks. In this way, the Central Committee was formed, right? So, if you guys read the organization or A Letter to Her Comrade on Organizational Tactics by Lenin, you would also know, more about the Central Committee and like how they form their groups. These groups are like highly democratized, like so many, I don't know how to explain it. Like they take people from each section of work, right? And like they have representatives, and if these representatives don't like work for the people who they are representing, they are immediately recallable, right? I don't know if I'm explaining it right. And the Central Committee is in charge of sending out like the ideological basis of the party, capital P. Who were these people? What kind of people were they? What did they want to do? This was an anonymous government consisting of almost exclusively of common workers and minor office employees, the names of 3 or 4 of whom were unknown outside the streets or offices. Tradition was upset. Something unexpected had happened in the world. There was not a single member of the ruling class among them. The revolution had broken out, which was not represented by a single lawyer, deputy, journalist, or general. Instead, there was a miner from Creusot, a bookbinder, a cook, and so forth. See a popular history of the Paris Commune. And I don't know if you know this, but Lenin said every cook should be able to lead the revolution. Like, this is not some, like, oh, only certain people can do it. No, everyone has the ability and can be taught to be revolutionary. So that's how the Paris Commune behaved in the first period of its existence. Such was the Paris Commune, and such was the dictatorship of the proletariat. Now let us pass to the second period of the Commune, when the Commune functioned in place of the Central Committee. Speaking of these two periods, which lasted 2 months, Arnauld exclaimed with enthusiasm that this was a real dictatorship of the people. Listen, the magnificent spectacle which this people presented during those 2 months imbues us with strength and hope to look in the face of the future. During those 2 months, there was a real dictatorship in Paris, a most complete and uncontested dictatorship of not only man, but of entire people, the sole master of the situation. This dictatorship lasted uninterruptedly for about 2 months, over March 18th to March 22nd. In itself, the Commune was only a moral power and possessed no other material strength than that of universal sympathy of its citizens. The people were the rulers, the only rulers, and they themselves set up their policy and its magistracy. Okay, and another thing that if you want to, like, actually see videos of dictatorship of the proletariat, if you want to see that shit and how it works, you should look up How Yukong Moved Mountains, because it's fucking amazing. That is how the Paris Commune is described by Arthur Arnauld, a member of the Commune and an active participant in the hand-to-hand fighting. The Paris Commune is described in the same way by another of its members, an equally active participant, Louis Segari. These people as only rulers, not the dictatorship of one man, but the whole people. This is what the Paris Commune was. Look at the Paris Commune. This was the dictatorship of the proletariat, exclaimed Engels in the form of for the information of the Philistines. So if you see this dictatorship of the proletariat, so this is the dictatorship of the proletariat as conceived by Marx and Engels. As you see, Monsieur Anarchiste, know as much about the dictatorship of the proletariat, the Paris Commune, and Marxism, which they so often criticize, as you and I, dear reader, know about the Chinese language. Wow. He's assuming that we don't know Chinese. That's rude, Stalin. Clearly, there are two kinds of dictatorships. There are dictatorships of the minority, the dictatorship of a small group, the dictatorship of the Trepovs and Ignatievs, which is directed against the people. This kind of dictatorship is usually headed by a camarilla, which adopts secret decisions and tightens the noose around the neck of the majority of people. Marxists are the enemies of such dictatorships, as they fight such dictatorships far more stubbornly and self-sacrificingly than do our noisy anarchists. There is another kind of dictatorship, the dictatorship of the proletarian majority, the dictatorship of the masses, which is directed against the bourgeoisie, against the minority. At the head of this dictatorship stands the masses. Here there is no room for either camarilla or for secret decisions. Here everything is done openly, in the streets, in meetings, because it is the dictatorship of the streets, of the masses, a dictatorship directed against all oppressors. Quick question, are anarcho-primitives just neo-feudalists? And also racist. It's a little bit racist too. Like, don't do that. Hello, Kay. How do you say? Hey, thanks for subbing with your Prime. That means a lot. We are just now finishing up Anarchism or Socialism by Joseph Stalin. Thank you for subbing, though. That really means a lot. Okay, where are we at? Marxists support this kind of dictatorship with both hands. And that is because such a dictatorship is magnificent, magnificent beginning of the great socialist revolution. Monsieur, the anarchists confuse these two mutually negating dictatorships and thereby put themselves in a ridiculous position. They are fighting not Marxism, but the figment of their own imagination. They are fighting not Marx and Engels, but windmills, as Don Quixote of blessed memory did in his day. Such is the fate of the third accusation. To be continued. The continuation did not appear in this press because in the middle of 1907, Comrade Stalin was transferred to the Central Committee of the Party of Baku for party work. Several months later, he was arrested there. His notes on the last chapter of the work, Anarchism or Socialism, were lost when the police searched his lodgings. Fucking police! Fucking police! Okay. We did it. We read that part. So, you guys convinced? You guys all anarchists now? I'm kidding. If you're anarchist, you're kicked out. Oh, you like the new logo? Yeah, they made up a guy to get mad at, like people do on Twitter. Like, people do that all the time. So they're like, and they still do this today, the anarchists, they say, dictatorship? I don't like dictatorships. But it just proves that they, like, literally don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Yes you do. You like this one, sweaty? Thanks for following Baked Cupcake. We are at the end of the stream now. We did finish what I had set out to finish, Anarchism or Socialism. And now let's see. Ben is doing a charity stream. So we might go see Ben. JFK. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. I am having a good day. Thanks, Funwall. I hope you're having a good day too. Burrow, you've always been a trot. Quit pretending like you were not always a trot. Thanks for listening, Dorian Sapiens. I think I want to read about the Paris Commune next. Would you guys be interested in hearing about the Paris Commune? Lazy pajamas. Ugh. Embarrassing. Read a book, anarchist. Yes? Okay, cool. We will do Paris Commune stuff then. Okay. Because I want to learn more about it myself as well. Okay. Ooh, is there? We could probably watch that as well. Nice, thank you. Whoa! That was loud as fuck. Sorry. So sorry. I'm so sorry, Ruby. I'm sorry. My volume control is very bad. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what to fucking end this on. I think I'm just gonna end it. That's true, dinosaurs did go extinct. Okay, I will see you sometime next week, most likely on Thursday. Wait, hold on, when the fuck is Christmas? I'm not doing anything for Christmas. I've completely, like, stopped talking to my family. Because they're terrible. Okay. Oh yeah, so Christmas is on Saturday. So maybe we'll do stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Probably that. I'll probably make a schedule and put it on the Red Army Twitter. Yes. Okay. Okay, I love you. Bye.
Arise, ye workers, from your slumber. Arise, ye prisoners of want. That's right. For reason in revolt now thunder. Chains of hatred, greed, and fear. Ha ha! Away with all your superstitions. Servile masses, arise, arise. We'll change henceforth the old tradition and spurn the dust to win the prize. So comrades, come on and rally. Then the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole darn human race. So comrades, come on, let's go rally. And the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole darn human race. No more deluded by reaction. On tyrants only we'll make war. The soldiers too will take strike action. They'll break ranks and fight no more. And if those cannibals keep trying to sacrifice us to their pride, each at the forge must do their duty, and we'll strike while the iron is hot. So comrades, come on, let's go rally. And the last fight, let us face. The International unites the whole beautiful human race.